Well, welcome everybody. Can everybody hear me? Good, because we're just testing these mics out for the first time. I try not to break out into a song or anything, just you want to get a mic in front of me, but and usually everybody runs out of the room then if I start singing. But it's nice to see a few people out today, and I see everybody's social distancing. That's great. And if you have your masks, you don't have to have them on when you're sitting in your spot, but if you have to go anywhere past anybody, if you could just put them back on, and then if you had to go out that way, then that would work out good. And we're just kind of learning our trade as we go along here. So I think it was, the council's been doing Zoom meetings, as you know, but we kind of felt we wanted to get back out and have our physical meetings, so that's why we've worked on the system. And so we're going to do our next two meetings in Clifford, and then we're doing a road show. So the next two meetings after that, we'll be going to Harriston, and then the final two meetings in September and October will be in Palmerston at the auditorium. So we're trying to get out there so that the public can see us out here, and rather than that little Zoom thing. But this is what it's at. So here we are today, and we've already opened up, and we just had a closed session, so now we're going to move into our agenda. Minutes of the previous meeting, a regular council minutes of July 14th, 2020, and the closed minutes of May 5th, 2020. A resolution moved by Councillor Gutson, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the minutes of the July 14th, 2020 council meeting and the May 5th, 2020 closed session council minutes be approved. All in favor? Carried. Additional items. Anybody got any additional items?
Yeah.
Save. I have one. Okay. Ron? Okay. All right. If you think of anything, that's fine. We'll get it. Now we have a resolution moving council and the committee of the whole to consider public meetings, delegations, and public question period, correspondent reports and motions for which notice has been previously given and other business. The resolution is moved by Deputy Mayor Turton and seconded by Councillor McKenzie. The Town of Minto Council convenes into committee of the whole. First public meeting, and I see quite a few people are here, I think, for the public meeting on the drain. As soon as I find my notes here, here we are. Okay, we have a public meeting, the Notice of Engineers Report, Section 78, Drainage Act, Shannon Municipal Drain, and Municipal Drains 30 and 52. I will act as chair of the public meeting and call the meeting to order. Acting clerk to outline the purpose of the meeting is to consider the engineering report prepared by Dietrich Engineering Limited, dated June the 22nd, 2020 for Shannon Municipal Drain and Municipal Drains number 30 and 52, 2020.
Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The notice of the meeting were sent to 32 landowners, along with copies of the report. As well, copies of the report were circulated to town staff, Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, and the municipality of West Grey.
Thank you, Annalene. And I will now call Greg from Dietrich, and our engineer, to provide the summary of the report. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me all right?
I can. Is everybody else? No? Is that mic on?
Is this on?
Yep. Yep. Maybe just talk into it a little bit more.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council and staff. I'm here today on behalf of Dietrich Engineering to present our report on the Shannon Municipal Drain and Drains, Municipal Drains number 30 and 52. I trust everyone has had an opportunity to review the report before now, so in the interest of time, my presentation will be kept fairly brief. If you have any questions throughout my presentation, please don't hesitate to ask. As an introduction, these drains, municipal drains, serve lands and roads in both the town of Minto and municipality of West Grey. And to be more specific, in the town of Minto, it affects lots 24 to 25 in concession 15, 24 to 29 in concession 16, 26 to 29 in concession 17, and lots 26 to 31 in concession 18. That's of Minto. And over in West Grey, the Shannon drain specifically affects lots 10 to 16 in concession 4 and 10 to 14 in concession 5. Dietrich Engineering Limited was appointed by the Town of Minto Council on June 16, 2015, and the Municipality of West Grey Council October 19, 2015. Their support has been prepared under two sections of the Drainage Act, Section 76 and 78. A little bit of history. The Shannon Drain, which is the portion of this water course in West Grey, as well as the drain number 30 in the town of Minto, were constructed under a drainage report prepared by James A. Howes, dated January 26, 1953. Drain number 52 was constructed under a report prepared by the same fellow, James A. Howes, by a report dated July 29, 1960. As a part of the process, the first thing we do under Section 78 is to have what's referred to as an on-site meeting. We held one of those in November 13th of 2015, and then we did our survey and research, encompassing design, that type of thing. And we had a public information meeting, which is not a requirement under the Drainage Act, but we like to do that to run our ideas by the people who are most affected prior to filing it with the clerk. That information meeting was held on July 29th of 2019. The proposed works under this report, we recommend the replacement of 2 laneway crossings, the replacement of the road crossing on the Minto-Normandy town line, the cleanout of approximately 382 meters of drain 30, and the cleanout of approximately 338 meters of drain 52. The removal of concrete debris in the ditch just east of side road 10 in West Grey, and replacing that debris with approved riprap for erosion protection. The watershed areas for these 3 individual drains, the Shannon Drain, being the largest, has a watershed area of approximately 582.3 hectares. That's equivalent to 1,439 acres. Drain 30, the second largest in this watershed, has a watershed acreage or hectarage of 376.3 hectares, or 930 acres. Drain 52, 108.3 hectares, or 268 acres. As a part of this project, we had to get some agencies involved. That includes the Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. Right now, we have, as a part of this report, we have received a letter of advice from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and that's with regards to the classification and authorization to go ahead and do the works there. This is a Class D type stream with sensitive fish species in it, as well as species at risk, part of the SARA. So as a part of our the permitting process, we had to submit a mitigation plan and have that approved, and we have a species at risk permit, and it's actually included in this report. The only thing we need yet is the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority permit to alter a water course, and Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority prefers to issue that after this report has been given third and final reading. We have had site visits with them, and there's no issue there. That's just the process they like to go through. The cost of this project, as presented here today, allowances have been provided under sections 29 and 30 of the Act, and you can see those outlined in a table on page 9 of the report. Section 29, right-of-way, total of $94,420 for right-of-way for this. That's included, or that encompasses all 3 of the individual drains. The assessment or distribution of these costs can be found on pages 13 to 20 in the report. And a summary of these costs, where we took the 3 different projects and put them all together, they're found on the yellow pages in this report on pages 21 to 23. I think at this point in time, I know that was kind of brief, but I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thanks, Greg. And then should I have it on here, if the town staff want to provide any additional comments, or are we? No, okay. No, I says no, okay, good. And I'll call any persons in attendance wishing to provide information that might influence the council's decision. So anybody want to make any comments or ask any questions to Greg at this point in time? From the public, and then I'll ask the council if they have any. I don't see any. Council, Mark?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is more than just maintenance. We're constructing a drain here. Because we don't usually call in engineers just to maintain a drain or a clean out. So I see the word construction here of the drains.
You want to speak?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this, under maintenance, the only thing you can do is to maintain it in accordance with the existing municipal bylaws. And in this case, that would involve two old bylaws, which the assessment is not accurate anymore. And if you look at some of the work we're doing, we're replacing culverts and not like for like. We're putting them in different places, they're bigger culverts, and there's the road crossing on the northern Middletown line as well. So yes, this does involve construction as well as a brand new maintenance schedule for all three of those drains under the section 76.
So it's definitely beyond the municipal responsibility.
The culverts would be part of our.
Exactly, they have to be engineered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on that, I believe, Mike, we had designated some of those culverts on that line. We've been working on trying to work with Westbury and get some of that culvert work done, so it works out. So it was a cost that we're going to have to get anyway someday down the road. So we'll get this one done anyways. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. No further questions. I will state the council will decide whether or not to proceed with the project previously adopted, the engineer's report by bylaw, or referring the report back to the engineer for modification. There's no right for appeal, assessments, or other aspects of the engineer's report at this meeting. These appeals rights will be made available later in the procedure. Acting clerk.
So Mayor Bridge, there will be a bylaw for first and second reading for council's consideration during open session.
Right. Okay. So now I officially adjourn the meeting and considered the engineer's report, the Chandler Municipal Drain 3052-2020. Thank you. If anybody wants to stay for the rest of the proceeding, or if anybody that's just here for the drainage, they can now leave if they'd like. Looks like a nice day out there. It's up to you. I'll give you So I just took all your crowd away there, Kyle. And next up, we have a delegation, and Kyle Davis, our risk management official, and he's here to do a delegation, and I'll let you do the rest of it. Kyle, I don't want to take any of your thunder here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Pleased to be here in person. This is my secretary. It's my first in-person meeting since about March. So
It's been a while.
us too. Yes. So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm here today to present to you a report, staff recommendation regarding appointment of risk management inspector and alternate risk management official for the town of Mitchell. Emily Van Mulen is with me today. So Emily Van Mulen, and recommendation is to appoint Emily as the risk management inspector and alternate risk management official for the town of Mitchell. Emily currently serves as the shared risk management inspector for the other 6 municipalities in townships in the county, and has since July 2017. Prior to that, she was a risk management inspector, risk management official in Grace Olive and Saugeen. So brings wealth of experience to the role, including actually writing some of the policies that we now enforce in Saugeen. If you recall, back in July 2017, when we set up the shared services position, we staffed the risk management inspector in Mitchell a different way at that time. And that was in large part to do with policy that was the Mapleton source protection plan that meant that every building permit, every development application in most of Harrison and most of Palmerston required environmental source protection review. So at that time, in consultation with Barry and Todd and others, it made sense to embed that review in town, in the building where that was primarily Stacy as Terry. So that requirement is no longer in force. Kenzie was part of that decision and served on the Maintenance Source Protection Committee that is no longer in force as of February 2019. And then with Stacy's departure, we met in the fall to discuss options on how to establish. The recommendation is for the county to join the shared services position, the risk management inspector. The financial impact of that position is identified in the report, which is over $3,000. That's a prorated portion of that position. If you recall, the majority of the source protection implementation of the county is actually in the county budget. It's funded, so funded the county planning budget, and the local municipalities are only responsible for their portion of the risk management spectrum. Happy to take questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Tom? No, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Does Emily want to say anything? Does Emily want to say anything? Yes, you will. Sure. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you for your consideration and hopefully I can serve you well.
Thank you. Well, it's nice that you could come today. Yeah. Thank you.
Since we're close to Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So I have a move. We don't have a mover second.
No.
So I need a mover and a seconder that the council of the town of Minto receives the appointment of risk management inspector, alternate risk management official report as required under the Clean Water Act 2006. And further, the council considers a bylaw in open session and directs the clerk to issue a certificate of appointment pursuant to Part 4, Section 47(7) of the Clean Water Act 2006. I have a mover for that. Ron? And Deputy Mayor Turton, all in favor? Carried. Welcome aboard. As soon as we find the bylaw, but that's it. Okay, thank you. And if you want to add out now, you can, because I know you have to get by. So, thank you. Public question period. We have no public last time.
What public?
All right.
Gotta change the order.
Yeah. Works out.
Or not.
Or not. Correspondence, we have correspondence received from information to require direction of council. We have the Ontario Barn Preservation and message and severance of the senior center. Anybody want to pull anything there? No, good, too good letters? No? Yeah. Okay. A mover and a second for that. Councilor Dirksen and Councilor Gunson, all in favor? Carried. Okay. And reports of committees, and we have Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, and there he is, Matt's up here.
Just need a second to wipe everything down here. There we go. Good afternoon. So I have 2 sets of minutes to present. One that was done over the conference line in June, and one where we physically distanced at the Harrison Pavilion in July. I'll review both sets with you, and then I can field some questions if you have any. At June's meeting, we were in stage 2, and Grace Wilson and the Northern Board were brainstorming ideas on what reopening the theater in stage 3 would look like. We were also on the cusp of opening schools and day camps for the summer and implementing changes required to adhere to the provincial health unit and industry guidelines. On page 2 of the June minutes, you'll note that quite a bit of facility maintenance has been completed as the indoor facilities remain closed, except for pickleball, and attendance there and usage has been steady. PRAC also reviewed the return to play protocols that were sent to us by the Thomas Environment so they could resume practicing. So jump forward into July, and we were in stage 3, and Grace Wilson reported she and the Northern Board were working towards opening the theater in August and to resume feature films on Friday, August the 14th with invitations. So Friday, August the 14th is this Friday. We have a full tour booked. And moviegoers can reserve their seats in advance now through our website. We also have contactless payment in place at the gate concession booth. And we're going to have lots of guidance and signage on where to sit and how the flow of traffic will work inside the theater. The health unit's got a nice document for theaters and concert halls, so that's the pool and day camp programs are running well. We've been steady, but it hasn't been overwhelming. Pickleball court usage continues, and we've added drop-in nights along with the private rental times that started out back in phase 2. All of our facilities are available to rent, but with the restrictions that remain in place, we hosted one meeting, a couple of pavilion rentals, and some baseball games. As you can see here today, it's our physical distance, like this for holding. In July, we did talk briefly about the ice season, and many of our local groups are working through the protocols that our organizational bodies have implemented, along with health unit guidelines. It's highly unlikely there will be any types of special events or tournaments in the future, and this will have a demand on ice that people will go. This will be a season like we've never seen before in terms of its lead up and operations. That said, our plan is to begin the season in Palmerston. We typically start there, commencing Monday, September 14th. Working with minor hockey and also the high school with their grade 9 and grade 11 hockey programs to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure they can both run even with limitations in place. I'll be part of an online meeting this Thursday, 2 days from now, with colleagues from nearby recreation departments to discuss strategies and the changes to the normal operations that will be required. It's just good to see what everybody else is thinking, what their health units are saying, and make sure that it's a sort of unified approach to things. We'll keep you updated in the coming weeks and seek your direction if we arrive at a scenario where less than 3 sheets of ice are needed. Going into this year, that was our plan, so if we think we need to deviate from that, certainly we come here first. Not sure if you have any questions at this time?
Sure there might be. Questions? Councilor McKenzie first, and then Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just further to your report, Matt, is there any activity planned for the master plan coming up? Or?
Through you, Mayor Bridge. Right now, we're kind of waiting to see if things will return to normal. That being said, now that we're in stage 3 and the number of people that can gather at one place has gone up, that's certainly something we can look at doing. We just felt like there were certain aspects of the plan where public consultation in person, we would need that over just trying to do it online. So right now, indoor gathering limits are still capped at 50. There could be certain components of this that you may have over 50 people interested. So we'll certainly look at getting it going again, but we don't want to have anyone miss out on contributing because of the restrictions that are in place. We're looking at that.
Thanks.
And Deputy Mayor, and then
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Matt, I'm looking at the June 29th Facilities Manager's Report. Sorry if I'm jumping around here, but I'm wondering about the EMS facility in Hairston. Is that roof leak, is that under capital, or was it weather, or what happened there?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I'd have to check in with our facilities manager and let you know.
Okay.
Certainly, it's a building that
We own.
we lease out, so that's on us.
Mhm. Thank you.
Just more of a statement than a question, Matt. As you were aware, I was very concerned about opening pools and opening up splash pad and programming, and it would have been a lot easier for your staff to say, no, we're not going to do it, and everybody would have understood. But you guys put your nose in the grindstone and opened up, and congratulations, because it's very successful. You and your staff helped bring Minto to the top of the page again. I believe it was fantastic. I lived just up from the pool, the splash pad. Everybody's seemed to be enjoying it. There's been no one left out. And kudos and thank you to the staff for working hard to make it happen. And like I said, it was a lot easier to say no, but you guys went ahead and did it.
Appreciate that, Ron. And it's nice that a lot of these amenities are outdoors, because some of the restrictions are a little bit different for that. It's a testament to the work that Grace, Jess, and Jordan, and some of the other staff, the part-time staff have been phenomenal in the pool, with making sure that they're adhering to the different policies we put in place, and even the patrons themselves, like the families and the kids that come to the pool and come to our day camp program, they realize that kind of like what happens at the beach, if we use it, then it could continue away. Yeah, we've had a good summer thus far.
Thank you.
And I just want to add to that comment, and I've watched the staff working away when I've been in the office and coming up with the different scenarios. And one of the things that we really can look forward to is the fact, I know Jess is working on the fact that if now that schools are going to be open, we have the after school program, we're working on that one as well. And it's very important that this has been a good learning curve to having these other facilities open. We're not starting from scratch. We've seen the little things that we have to do and change, especially with the social distancing and making sure that the cleanliness is there and the hand washing and all the other stuff. So kudos to the staff about doing that, because now we're positioned if we go forward with the after-school programs, if that's going to be allowed to go. It looks like it will be. So those kind of things. And now going into the winter season with the arenas and other things that we might have to open up, at least we've had some activity and we're able to actually look at it. And I know a few people they've been doing some celebration of life and other things that have been allowed to go and do, because unfortunately, one of the biggest things I find with this is the fact that when we've had people pass away, unfortunately, we haven't been able to be there for our loved ones that we would like to have been. And now we're going to see more of these opportunities in the summertime, and with the markets opening and the museums done well, and those are all things that I think it was very important for our community to keep trying to get to the normal. It's a new normal, but just trying to get to that new normal, and otherwise we'd be paralyzed. And I think it's given us a little lift, and we've seen the downtowns reacting, and we've had some good push there, and that's economic development, but that's coming down the road, but it's all part of it. So yeah, it's one of those things. I know it was very frustrating at times because the landscape kept changing, and as we got better at the numbers, and they added more in the stage 3, and every time a new stage comes along, there's no rules and regulations. But the staff have been very good about reacting and working hard at trying to get through the problem. So thank you. Anything else? Okay, no. Okay, I got a recommendation that the Council of Town of Minto receives the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee minutes of June 29, 2020 and July 27, 2020. Approves recommendations contained therein. A mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Turton and Councilor McKenzie, all in favor? Thank you. Cultural Roundtable. Belinda. Welcome.
So the Cultural Roundtable has really been limited this year on what we are able to do because of COVID-19. So these minutes are very brief. I don't have anything really to add. Our group is working on Culture Days plans for the whole month from the end of September to the end of October. So more information will be coming forward on that soon. But really not a whole lot to report. Erin Raffles is our summer student, and she's working hard on transferring our Treasures of the Show website over to our existing website, and that's a lot of work. Other than that, I don't have anything else on these minutes.
Questions? Good.
Not really a question, but a comment. Just wanted to say kudos to you and Taylor for your podcast.
Yeah, that was neat.
Highlighting, I think maybe Doug Griffiths was wanting to highlight Hairston, but he certainly did a great job of pulling in all of the 3 urban centers in Minto, and you just did such a great job of that. And I don't know whether not all of council, I don't think, is on Facebook, and I'm just wondering, is there a way that you can send a link out? Because everybody really needs to hear that. Like, you girls did just a fantastic job, and really put Minto on the map with that
Thank you.
podcast.
Yeah, for those of you that weren't around when we had Doug Griffiths here, he's pretty well known across Canada, and it was a real honor to be asked to speak on his podcast and be able to promote our communities. And they're actually planning on coming to Minto and doing a whole blog about our communities and what the work everyone's doing here. So it's pretty exciting. And so yeah, I would love to share that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I've got a recommendation that the Council of Town of Minto receives the Cultural Roundtable Committee minutes of July 20th, 2020 and approves any recommendations contained within. And can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Gunson, Deputy Mayor Turton, all in favor? Good. Okay, thank you. You're still up. Yeah, I'm going to say you're up again. The Business Economic Development. Thank you.
And this is the awesome report, correct? Structure break report?
Going to Jennifer Hall.
Thank you. Okay, so the last council meeting that our Economic Development Committee minutes were at, we had a recommendation in there that we pulled back because of an unforeseen issue, an unforeseen expense. So Glenn and Jen Hall own this property, I'm sure you're all familiar with, Folsom in downtown Hairston. It's a commercial property. Last year it received a structural grant for a lot of work on the main floor. This is round 2, so with our CIP you can apply more than once, but only once per year. Back in 2018, when we updated our plan, we included a lot more incentives around apartment buildings because we lacked those and we wanted people to invest in improving these facilities. CBO Pipers and I were in this property prior to the renovations, and it desperately needed a lot of work, especially, well, all over. It needed a lot of work, and it was a dangerous property. Actually, I'm surprised there wasn't a fire. Anyway, the committee had at the time approved $9,600 grant. The day or a couple days before this was to come to council, it poured rain, and they had a major roof issue. That was another over $6,000. So CBO Pipers and I reviewed the application again and what it should entail, and that resulted in our recommendation increasing to them receiving $11,700.
Questions? Deputy Richard?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. Well, and I think this is a great grant program. I see it in the Wellington Advertiser. Other communities are doing the same thing. And I mean, our downtowns are some of the oldest buildings in our community. And I mean, when we look at helping somebody out, it's a great initiative. So thanks for bringing this forward.
Councilor McKenzie.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I'd just like to comment also on the improvement grants. I think it's a service that we assist businesses that there's a level above most municipalities, but there's an aspect of that that really gets to me sometimes here, and it's new to me, but I have trouble supporting money going to apartment buildings or creating apartments in our stores. It's nothing to do with commerce,
So
as far as I'm concerned.
Councilor McKenzie, it's a second floor. We don't support anybody doing apartments on the main floor in a downtown core. This is all secondary, like second level apartments.
No.
And when people are looking at investing in property downtown, a big piece of that is getting income from the second floor, right? So by us going to them and saying, fix up your buildings, and incentivizing that, because it's a very expensive process to do this work. Having these available for them to do that and generating that income stream on the second floor helps them be able to make it financially possible to purchase and renovate those buildings. So the second floor investment helps the main floor investment.
And just on that as well, and one of the biggest issues we have, and we've had it in Palmerston, we've had it in Hairston, is rental accommodation. And these are rental accommodations have been left empty for years, and we've brought them back into the stream. So, I mean, we can't get enough people to build rental. So this gives us a great opportunity, and I know in Palmerston and in Hairston, having the stores redo these rentals and bring them up to code has been a big boom for us, because we need those rental spaces. I mean, if we get, I don't know how many surveys we do out there, but rental accommodation is one of the biggest issues when it comes down to it.
Basically don't have any. So anything that incentivizes people to fix them up, that they're usable, or to create them, that's what we're trying to do with this program.
Yeah. There's probably areas in the town that aren't on Main Street that need the lift too, and we don't provide that. So that could be discriminatory too.
So we do, our CIP does include the whole municipality.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2018, when the county introduced their incentives, we opened up our program as well. So people in rural, even out in Drew, could apply if needed. For certain incentives.
Certain ones, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Chief?
Is it just one apartment? Or
It is one apartment in this building, yeah. It's a 3-bedroom apartment, which is rare.
Okay. Our recommendation is that the Council of Town of Mapleton receives the July 22nd, 2020 report for the Business and Economic Development Manager regarding structural improvement grant application H07 for the amount of $11,700 for property located on 12 Elora Street, South Hairston, and considers a bylaw and open session for structural grant agreement. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. One. Okay. Next up is, I guess you're still there? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so this is a memo of understanding with Mapleton for economic development consulting services. Doesn't seem that long ago that we were presenting about a Northern Wellington model of economic development partnership. And as we all know, COVID has greatly changed things, and our priorities obviously have shifted a little bit with the items that we presented back in January. In March, the CAOs were working together on an MOU for the enhanced partnership, but that kind of stopped. We did work through COVID, delivering services to Mapleton and Wellington North businesses through Launch It. So that definitely helped do that. It was a win-win on all rounds because we were able to bring in some speakers normally that we would not have been able to afford on our own. So their assistance financially helped with that, and they were able to get support for their businesses that they couldn't do themselves. So basically, with our priority switching, Wellington North's priority switching a little bit, Mapleton still has a need for getting some guidance. So they reached out to us with some requests. CAO Derek has been meeting with Manny and working through the MOU. And yes, this looks a little bit different, more of us providing guidance and support to Ally and helping them really get going. There were some key projects. Really, business retention expansion is a big part of the MOU, and it's something that is so valuable during this whole COVID-19. Because of our BRD work, that's why we were able to connect with so many businesses and support them, because we built up relationships over a long time. So that's really where they need to start. That hasn't been done there, and that's where I think things need to start. And then a lot of marketing and promotion work as well. So really, we're just going to be there to provide support and guidance to Ally and get them off on the right track. And then down the road, we'll bring back the partnership opportunity, because those still exist. Just right now, we need to work on some other initiatives in all of our communities.
Okay. Any other reporting questions for Judy?
I think this is a great idea. The partnership was pretty big, and there's that saying about eating an elephant one bite at a time. And so I think this smaller place is a good place to start, especially with what I think we have been through over the last months. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I mean, I was in favor of the other one, but I had more reservations. This one, though, I mean, this has got success written all over it without a doubt in my mind. So I'm really happy about this.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. I have a recommendation here that the Council of Town Minto receives the July 24th, 2020 report from the Business and Economic Manager regarding the Memorandum of Understanding with Mapleton in regards to the provisions of Economic Development Counseling Services, and consider a bylaw in regular session authorizing the Mayor and Acting Clerk to execute the Memorandum of Understanding. And I have a mover and a seconder for that, Judy and Jeff. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, good. Thank you. Oh, we let you sit down, are we? And we have Terry up. Thanks, Terry.
So I'm presenting a report that Michelle drafted up. It's in regards to a proposed severance application at 9820 Ski Road. The property is owned by Albert and Darlene Eshelbeck. It's zoned site-specific agricultural and natural environment. It's got a really odd zoning to it that it allows for an overnight camp, which is kind of a unique situation. So they are proposing to sever off a 2.47 acre parcel fronting on Ski Road at the back corner of their property. Staff and their engineer met, reviewed the application, and are in general support of the application. The county has also submitted a report that's attached to your agenda in support of the application as well. So our recommendation is to approve or support the severance application with 4 conditions, which are kind of our standard ones. The financial and otherwise to cover any incurred costs that we have. Proper access to the property, that would be once they figure out where they want their driveway location. They'll need to complete a grading and drainage plan prior to the issuance of a building permit, and a general comment about compliance with the zone bylaw. Are there any questions?
G?
I'm curious why the county and maybe the town, I can't really tell because the application is actually in 1 hectare, but the map shows 1 acre. So I'm just kind of curious why the county is kind of bent on 1 acre instead of 1 hectare.
That must be an error in the report. It is 1 hectare or 2.47 acres is what the survey sketch indicates.
Okay, but the county then says that they are of the opinion that there's an opportunity to reduce the lot size and regulate the lot configuration. And I guess I just look at that and I think it's not taking farmland out of production. You know, it's a few more trees in a lot. Like, if we have the opportunity to make a nice lot, why not make a nicer lot and make it a little bit bigger?
And they would not have the opportunity to sever an additional lot off
No.
that property.
No.
So it was kind of odd that they did put that in there, but it wasn't listed as any of the conditions about reducing.
Yeah, I know, at the end it wasn't, so I,
No.
It was-
Yeah, I see that now, and it says one
it's a little bit odd,
acre.
so I just didn't know whether we should be saying that, yes, we support it at the hectare size, like, do we need to kind of,
I don't think we need to clarify it because we're not asking as one of our conditions either to reduce the size. So
Right.
we're supporting it as presented.
okay,
So I don't think there's a need to specifically state that.
okay.
Good pick up on that, Judy, because I'm noticing the map now, it says 1 acre for some reason.
Yeah, and I just thought, why do you, and then the county said they wanted to reduce it, and I just don't see, I don't see why in this particular case.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Terry, this is really just the first step. This will come back to us.
It won't come back.
Will
to
not come back?
council. The zoning permits what they're proposing, so they won't have to rezone it or have any other
Gotcha.
sort of planning
Okay.
process.
Good, thank you.
Okay. I'll read the recommendation and then we'll, that the Council of Town of Minto recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve the severance application B5120 Darlene and Albert Eschelbach. As I said, right?
Eshelbeck, yep.
Part Lot 21, Concession 17, Town of Minto, and that the following conditions be considered. The applicant satisfies all requirements of the Town of Minto, financial and otherwise, which the town may deem to be necessary for the proper and orderly development of the subject lands, including the payment of any monies owed to the Town of Minto, and all accounts are in good standing. That the applicant obtains written confirmation from the Town of Minto Public Works Department that satisfactory access arrangements to the subject lands have been made prior to the issuance of the building permit. That the applicant prepares and submits a grading plan to the satisfaction of the Town of Minto, which requires a grading plan prepared by a professional engineer or material land surveyor prior to the issuance of a building permit. That the owner complete the provisions of the approved grading plan pursuant to the development of subject lands. The applicant obtains a written statement from the Town of Minto confirming the proposed lots and associated land uses, buildings, and structures comply with all applicant's requirements in the Town of Minto zoning bylaw. I need a mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Turton, Councilor McKenzie, all in favor? Okay. Good. Thanks, Terry. Next up is the fire chief.
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Yeah, go ahead.
This report that I brought to you is about used sand truck purchase. It's something that's come to light in the past couple weeks. We found a dealer that takes trucks and remounts the bodies back onto used chassis. And it looked like a very viable option for going forward with some of our tanker trucks. So we just wanted the freedom to be able to go and talk to the person and see, take our mechanic down and have a look at it and see if this is a viable option. And if the right one comes available, to be able to enter an agreement, purchase and sale and buy one. The problem we're running into, and it's been a problem that I've been dealing with for a little while, is truck prices, as Mike can attest to in the public works side, have gone through the roof. A tanker truck like the one we bought in 2017, council will remember, 2017, 2018, was approximately, and we paid $300,000, and those trucks now are closer to $500,000, and that's how much they've gone up. So we're trying to find options to be able to go. As I said in the report, we have 3 tanker trucks. One's a 1989, one's a 1993, and one's a 1995. So I knew there were some issues when 3 of our trucks are older than a lot of our firefighters. So we're trying to figure out stuff and try and go with it. So this is just an option we want to present to you and give permission to go down and negotiate and see if this would fit our needs, and then if we can progress and go forward with this.
Actually, Gene, I should have passed it over to you, so, and I forgot Ron too.
Now you'd like me to?
Now I realize it, but I didn't have it in my notes, so, sorry.
It's okay.
So, yeah, and I forgot Ron, you, so, but Gene, go ahead, you can handle this if you could.
Yes, sir?
Just, so you said there's 3 older tankers. Are we going to have yearly buy a tanker to get caught up, or how do you expect to do that, Chris?
We're looking at options. So the one truck that I did see online was a 2014 remount, and we looked at possibly purchasing it. And then looking at it further, last week we have one now that the tank on it and is really, really good shape. So again, we were looking maybe we could swing a deal that we could trade that truck in. It's a 1993.
Okay.
It's our last standard in the fleet, that maybe we can take the back off it and help us remount it onto the truck. So this is just giving me the freedom that I can negotiate, and then, you know, if we get one, first one, then I can come back to you with another report saying this is what we've figured out to do that, so that we can kind of space them out more, and, you know, we'll get 20 years out of the used one, and then maybe, you know, we slot a new one in a few years if things turn better economically or whatever, or however else we figure it out. But
So where's the tanker going?
with our tanker trucks, we have 5 of them, we switch them all around the 3 stations, because we're all one that's, you'll see that they all say tanker on, they don't say the stations on them anymore, so we rotate them around to where they're the best fit. So probably the first one would go to Clifford, if we can remount the Clifford one, and then that one would go to Palmerston, and we switch some things around.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, Gene, if I could. I think it's a great idea to look at this opportunity because they don't get a lot of miles on them, but we do have restrictions on how old they can be and how old the tank can be. So any way we can work on and get a better value for our dollar works out, and as long as it doesn't put the fire department at any kind of problem. But I'm all for that.
Okay, so can I have a mover, a seconder, or do you want me to read the
I
recommendation?
think I've been reading the recommendation and then doing it, Gene. I don't know.
Okay, the Council of Town of Minto authorizes the fire chief to negotiate the purchase of a used tanker truck for under $140,000 when available from the appropriate dealership. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor Turton and Deputy Bridge, or Mayor Bridge, sorry.
That's all right.
Be in trouble.
All in
We're in
favor?
trouble with that today. I don't know what
We
that
are. All in favor? Opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll move it back over to Deputy Mayor Turton.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. We have a couple items on the Treasury Department here today, and we have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by Councilor Dirksen on 12.5B, I believe that is. So thank you. Welcome, Treasurer Duff. I want to talk today. I know you're possibly not the revenue coordinator, but you're very close. So let's go ahead.
Thank you, Sir. Good to see you all in that distance. Okay. So the first up, we have the section 357, and there the tax write-offs due to physical change on the property.
Gord, I'm wondering if yeah, you might have to, because
Because I just had the fire chief here. So
we may not be picking you up. You can hold it if you want.
Want to move it around to the side?
Now you've totally contaminated it, so you might as well hold it.
I know. Well, I will be the last speaker then. There we are. All right, we'll try that. So anyway, the numbers are relatively small this time, and they're all in the rural area too. So they're either mobile homes that have moved, or barns, or other structures that have come down. So our share is only 2,375, and the overall is 5,778. So.
Questions, Stuart Treasurer?
Other than, I think the reason on your, do we have to say the reason why, Councillor Dirksen?
Sorry?
Is because she has a removal of a barn.
All right, so the reason for the declaration, Councillor Dirksen, is our farm property is listed due to removal of some farm structures.
Yeah.
Sorry about that?
Yeah, I think we have to say that now.
All right, any questions for our treasurer? Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. So have we jumped to number 6, or are we still on? We're still on 5. It's on 5, because I had a question on numbers, on the financial review.
Well, we're not there.
We'll get to
Not quite there yet?
That's what Judy's was about, right?
All right.
Sorry.
So, hearing no questions, we have a recommendation that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the July 29th, 2020 report from Treasurer and Revenue Coordinator regarding Section 357 applications and that these applications be removed. Mover and seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Gunson. Councillor McKenzie, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Now we'll go into the second quarter financial review report.
Okay,
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
Oh, that's great.
You and your team.
Oh, yeah, Mark was a great help too. And so we certainly don't know it all, but we know a bit more than we did when we did this last report. We have a bit better idea of how the year is turning out. I thought I'd just kind of maybe highlight some of the actual things from the second quarter. Again, there's some timing differences. Treasury looks really great right now, but that's more a timing thing because our solar revenue is in, but we give most of that back. Again, at our, I believe it was our April meeting, we approved a suspension of tax penalties and interest, and the effect of that was about a $34,000 hit to the average. We've done very few tax adjustments so far, and I'm sure that's just a timing thing too. In the fire department, again, we have our, still have 3 different ways that we do payroll, so there's some timing which shows about an $80,000 shortfall there. Where we're really feeling the impact is in people and property. So what, as I mentioned, I think in my previous report, I've been tracking our COVID-related expenses in case there is some kind of reimbursement. Now, if there isn't, some of these expenses will go back to their original department, but they're still expenses. And that's running $75,000 to $80,000 so far. And also, as part of our flood mitigation work, we had to front-load a lot of our expenses to make sure that we had incurred them by March 31st. So a lot of that budget will be covered already. For roads, it's, we don't have that much maintenance in the first half of the year, but unfortunately our winter control was fairly substantial. We've used about 90% of the budget, so we're hoping for a very dry November and December. Sewer and water revenue is actually fairly good. I'm pleasantly surprised by that, and again, I think it's people at home are using more, and that's offset a bit of the industrial and commercial from that idea. Cemeteries, the first half of the year, generally not too much maintenance. That'll turn around in the second part. And our after-school program, of course, was cut for 3 months there, so that was a bit less revenue. The challenging one, of course, is recreation, and as we know, now that we're into the summer, we know we aren't going to have a lot of ball and soccer revenue, and we still have a few expenses taking care of the fields and that. And then a good example is where we are right now. We're not renting the halls, and we're not selling liquor to all the partiers either. So that is a hit, and that is so common amongst all smaller municipalities. That's where the hit is, in facilities and recreation and that too. And I'm glad we opened our pools and that. It's definitely a community service, but I think it's worthwhile, and certainly it's super not to do things, but that's not why we're here. So here we are. With the satellite facilities and the programs, I found that in a lot of cases the expenses have offset the lost revenue, so it was not too bad a hit there. The town landscape control, we don't spend too much at the beginning of the year, but that will certainly be a timing difference that will even out. Building permits, a bit of a lag for a few months, but they've been so busy, they're certainly on track to catch up. And in economic and development and tourism, well, we've switched from running events and that to supporting businesses. So again, a lot of offsets. So when we look forward, we know there's going to be some challenges, and it's going to be in the people in property aids, where they're spending on protective inspection, doing all these things that we haven't done before, and of course some of the revenue hits. But so far, I think it can be covered by our reserves, and again, we'll see what the second half. As you've heard in this meeting, a lot of things are returning to semi-normal, and that's a good thing for our citizens. And hopefully there'll come a time when we can do some events and can have these small gatherings of 50 to 100 people and do it. So anyway, entertain any questions or
Questions for our treasurer? Councilor McKenzie?
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Gordon and Tanya, for the report. It's interesting to note the losses in the tax revenue through the assessments, the reasons why. I haven't seen that before. But I think on the reverse side of that, isn't it safe to say that with our progress in building and all that, it's going to more than cover the loss?
I'm sure it will this year. Last year was very good too. Last year was kind of catching up on 2017, 2018, and 2019 was very good, so we'll have that. While we're talking of assessment and looking ahead to the next year, this would normally be a phasing year for reassessment, and due to COVID impact, it's held off for a year. So maybe we won't anticipate quite as much growth next year, but anyway, we'll see.
Barns and houses being removed, eh?
That's for sure, yeah. And my goodness, people are certainly moving here, so.
And on the other hand, we're building more, so.
That's right. Every service.
Other questions for our treasurer? Mayor Bridge?
Just a comment, and I know there was some announcements from the provincial government, federal government, that they are looking at helping out municipalities. Now, we haven't seen the final notes on it, Gordon, but last week there was an announcement they would, and it may be per capita, it may be something that how we can do it, because hopefully we don't have to send a whole bunch of reports in to say this is how much we lost and whatever. I think they're going to look at it and say, similar to the gas tax, we're going to get some kind of per capita come back. I think it was $2 billion was set aside for transit for the cities and stuff that we don't have transit, but another $2 billion for the other municipalities. So I'm happy that FCM and AMO and that worked hard at that to get that out to the government. They realize that they need to help us out with this because, as you can see, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, we have less revenue and we have more expenses, and we have expenses based on the fact that we had to do more things in order to keep open and do what we're doing. So I think we're going to see that come back. So.
Well, and we also had a bit of an announcement that a chunk of the ICIP is going to go for COVID. It's, again, a very narrow window. I think it's like September to December of 21, and we're studying to see if some of our flood mitigation projects could possibly fit in there. But, certainly anything like that will help, and I agree. I think they'll do the per capita because it's simple to administer, and it's fair and transparent.
But I'm really pleased that our taxpayers and everything, they've managed to come, as you look at the taxes, as you said, Councilor McKenzie, we had 96% came in. They're paying their bills as best they can, and in lots of cases, we may be a little bit better off in our area if a lot of people weren't necessarily out of work, and they didn't, because we still had to get working, and farms and whatever, still they couldn't just stop. You didn't have any work from home at the farms too much other than the land. But TG Minnow is back up and running, and they've been running solid, and a lot of our industries have been back up. So, and with economic development, what Belinda's done with really trying to support our local businesses, they sort of been kept their head above water. So we're not out of it, but I think at the end of the day, kudos for all the staff to work on this and our tax base and our people out there that have, you know, they've been out there helping, and you know, even doing the food banks and all the other things that they support in the community. They've been really supporting our businesses as well. So I really reach out to them and tell them that thanks for that. But it's a lot worse than it looks. Yeah, and I really like the new report. I hope everybody's liking the new report. It really lays it out nicely, and it gives us an opportunity to look at things and make sure that we're keeping our eye on the ball.
Good.
Thank you.
More to come.
Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Turton. Just, obviously, the one that really jumps out at you is this people and property
Yes.
at that percentage over. And I think I heard you say that that's where our COVID expenses.
Exactly, that's our COVID expenses.
Under 100,000.
Yeah, under 100 yes.
So what other kinds of things?
What was called the National Disaster Mitigation Program, so we had to front load a lot of expenses into the first quarter, so you won't see as much in the rest of the year.
Oh,
also our conservation levies and that too, so yeah, there's a lot of things that fit into the first half.
But still, our budget is only 103, and we're
Yeah.
like almost 3 times that.
Yeah, well, again, a lot of the COVID wasn't predicted, and some of the other expenses, like coming in, we have, and funny, I was just talking to a fellow you may remember, Tim Nile, who was our former advisor. We still haven't collected a dime in some of our expenses for flood mitigation that we've actually put out, so I'm hopeful that that will come in through before the end of the year, so it's gotten in. And so we've had, as you say, all the expenses, but not the revenue or the offsets, and some of the expenses weren't budgeted.
Right.
So it cumulative effect.
Okay, thanks.
And I just to add to that, I guess, Gordon, maybe you could question that. We're not going to be that bad off at the end of that. Like, if we get some of this money.
I'm hopeful not, no. It's just everything has just slowed down. So many of the people that we work with, they're still working from home.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of turnover too, in a lot of the agencies, and you have to start over, so we're still following up.
So I think what we're hopeful is we have another one of these in September.
Yeah.
Councilor Dirksen, and maybe we'll have a better feel in September than if we have any major issues, but keep an eye on it. But we're going to do this.
We'll know a lot more, and better or worse, we'll see.
Yep.
Any other questions for our treasurer? Yeah, thank you, Treasurer Duff. I mean, this is an important document to us. We appreciate the hard work that you and your team put forward. I mean, it's all in the numbers. We're certainly not unique here in Minto, and every other municipality is suffering. It's Wellington County. Do you know how many offices are open in Wellington?
3, I believe, right now.
There's 3?
Minto, Mapleton, and Erin right now.
Everybody else is still closed.
Closed to the public or by appointment, or kind of doing what we were doing a couple of months ago. And, well, everybody's surviving the best way they can.
Well, again, thank you for your hard work on this. So the recommendation here is that the Council of Town of Minto receive the Treasurer's 2020 second quarter financial review report for information only. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Gunson, Mayor Rich, all in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Gord, appreciate it, and I'll pass the chair back to our mayor.
Thank you. And we're at other businesses disclosed, and I think I had Ron and Dave and myself and anybody else. Ron?
This is more of a comment than a thought. As most of you know, there was a terrible accident at the S-Bends outside of Palmerston. A lady was killed yesterday. And a transport truck come through and somehow they collided. That's the only thing I have from the news. Lady, like I said, and two people went to the hospital with serious injuries, is what was reported. What I'm thinking happened in the past, I believe Wellington County, Mr. Mayor, tried to visit creating a roundabout at that terrible turn, and Perth County wouldn't cooperate or didn't participate in it because it's at the line, Perth County and Wellington, so they needed Perth County to work with that. So I would ask you, Mr. Mayor, and along with our Councillor Dave Anderson, if you would take it back to Wellington County and ask them if they would revisit that issue. It's a terrible corner, and ask if they could, again, try to get a roundabout at that, or some kind of a safety. It's a terrible, terrible corner. As you people knew, you probably thought there was going to be something serious happen again. And it has. And if Perth County hadn't acted on it, then we probably wouldn't have this issue today. At least when they slow down going through a roundabout, it's not going to be at the speed that could probably kill somebody.
Okay.
So I would ask, I'm not sure whether, I don't think we need a motion.
No.
But I would ask on behalf of myself and probably our council that you bring that forward.
Yeah, on that, Councillor Elliott, Councillor Mayor Davison has already reached out I think he sent a note to our councillor and myself, and also to Don Kudo at the county to see where we are on that project. As you know from the history of the project, originally that roundabout we thought was going to be done before the Tividale roundabout, and we actually moved the Tividale roundabout a year later, and then we couldn't get an agreement with Perth, and Perth has a different idea of what their roundabouts are, and I don't want to get into that, that's their concern, but we've been sitting, and Don Kudo, who is our roads person in the county, already indicated in the note back to Greg and myself that we're just waiting, and we've always had in our budget, we can move anything, anytime into our budget. We're waiting on Perth at this point in time. I don't think, this may make them look again. They felt that it didn't qualify in their idea of a roundabout, but we were quite willing. We've always had the money in the budget. We'll make the money available. I do believe, as well as you, this is going back quite a few years, that was a terrible bend. Unfortunately, like we talked about when we did White's Road, people said, well, they went through the stop sign. Well, the point is, should you die by going through a stop sign? And when you got a situation where you cannot see sometimes because of that corner, and if you look one way and you look the other way, if somebody is coming down there, you might miss them at that little blind spot in that corner. And it's not a very, and so we're ready. We've been ready since back before the plowing match. And I do believe what Don said is we're waiting for, well, we went back over to Perth again, and this will probably be coming to Perth's desk, I'm sure.
Could you bring that up at a council meeting?
Well, it's already it can be, and I think it's...
Can we ask Bush to try and make it happen sooner than later?
Again, I think it's right, it's in Perth's, we're ready. We can go, if Perth says tomorrow they're going to go, we can't do it ourselves because unfortunately it's a joint intersection.
I understand that, but what I'm asking is
I've already sent the note to Don on our behalf, if you don't mind, saying that we would like it to go forward, and Mayor Davison has also sent that note, and I think Councillor Anderson was, our County Councillor Davis was also copied on it, and I'm sure he'll support that as well, because I know he has in the past, so I don't think it's us holding back the wheel.
And I completely understand that, but what I'm saying is, if we wait for Perth to come back to us, I think you've got to get...
No, I think they're reaching out to Perth, and Perth, I'm sure, has, I don't think that's, we can certainly reach out to Perth, but again, it's up to Perth to come back to us.
And I would reach out again?
Well, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Okay, will you make sure that happens?
Oh, yes, yep.
Thank you.
That was what my general conversation was on my email.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yep. Okay, and no, who else? We had David. Yep.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. I mean, for the last 3 or 4 months, for myself, it's been a real blur. I mean, hang around the house, you go to work, you come home, go uptown the odd time, and haven't really had a whole lot of dialogue with, other than phone calls and Zoom and stuff with all you folks in this room, my family and things like that. And I want to add my congratulations and thanks to our staff, because Minto has been rolling right along. Belinda and Mike and everybody, Terry, Chris, Derek. We just want to thank you a huge amount for keeping us rolling, because, I mean, I don't feel like I've been much help to the council, other than talking to people and encouraging them to get in touch with our staff and you know, listening to some of the things today. I mean, we've got an agenda here, and we're talking about things, and we're moving right along. Team Minto is moving, and I just can't say enough good things about our staff, Derek. So we really need to boost our people, and thank you very much.
And my comments were a couple of things. I just want to, it's nice to see the press here. I mean, we don't see you on the Zoom meetings, so it's good to see you both here, and thanks for your contribution to getting the message out. And I think you've been able to get most of the information you need if you've had questions from our Zoom meetings, but it's kind of nicer to be here, I think, as well, to take in the overall thing. And again, we've got our video photographer going work there today, and nice to see you, Jake, to here, and you're doing your work, and hopefully the people can see it, and we want to be transparent as best we can. And I just want to thank everybody that participated in the Mayor's Golf Tournament. There's one of the things we thought we weren't going to run this year. We waited for quite a while to decide on it. It was run a little differently. We didn't have a big meal and everything, but the sponsorship was there from the bigger sponsors and whatever. We didn't go to the little sponsors at this point in time because they're quite busy with all their stuff that they're doing. But there was 34 teams, which is the same as every other year, and we had that last week, and it was well attended, and I don't know, the weather was the best we've ever had. So thank you for that. And again, it's nice to see when I go into the office now, I'm able to see all the staff. It's a little bit different, David. I know it's tougher when you have to pick up the phone and ask questions and that. It's always nice to be able to go and actually see them in their environment and actually talk to them and get the answers right away, and you're not playing telephone tag or email tag or whatever. And I know we've done our Zoom meetings, but now I think we're starting next week we start our department head meetings same in person. And I find that the Zoom is fine, but I don't think we get the dialogue on the Zoom. It's a little tougher because I can't see everybody all the time, and it's tougher to run a Zoom meeting. So although the technology is there and we've worked with it, I'm happy that we're able to come back out and do these things. And I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out with us going to the different towns. We talked about this one other time about going out and way back and saying, can we go out? But the technology to get it all set up would kind of force us to do it this time. So it's kind of neat to go out and we'll be in Hairston and Palmerston in the next little while and see how, when we get other meetings. And on Thursday, I think we have our first public meeting for planning. And we'll get going on a few of those issues. But after that, I think after Thursday, those meetings will actually be incorporated in our regular meetings. We just have a backlog we want to get going, so we thought we'd have one meeting, get them all caught up, and then we'll go from there. But thanks for everybody, and thanks for the council hanging in there. Okay. Notice of motion. Oh, first of all, a motion to return to. The Committee of the Whole convenes into regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson. All in favor? Yep. What's the motion? Resolution adopting proceedings of Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Gunson. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Bylaws, 2020-46, provisional bylaw for Shannon Municipal Drain and Municipal Drains 30 and 52, first and second reading. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, that the bylaw number 2020-46 to provisionally adopt the report prepared by the Dietrich Engineering Limited dated June 22nd, 2020 under Section 78 of the Drainage Act, Shannon Municipal Drain and Municipal Drains number 30, 52, 2020 be introduced, read, first and second time. All in favor? Okay, structural grant agreements. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott, that the bylaw number 2020-47 to authorize the mayor and acting clerk to execute an agreement to maintain certain approved work funded through the Town of Minto Community Improvement Plan with Glenn Hall and Jennifer Hall for 12 Alora Street South, Harrison, to be introduced, read, first, second, and third time, and passed an open council, seal to seal the corporation. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Moved. Carried. Economic Development Memorandum of Understanding for the Township of Mapleton. Moved by Councillor Gutson, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the bylaw number 2020-48 to authorize the mayor and acting clerk to execute the memorandum of understanding between the Corporation of Town of Minnow and the Corporation of Township of Mapleton be introduced and read for the first, second, and third time, and passed an open council, seal to seal the corporation. All in favor? Appointment of Risk Management Inspector, alternate Risk Management Official. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor McKenzie, that the bylaw number 2020-49 to appoint Emily Vandermeulen as Drinking Water Source Protection Risk Management Inspector and alternate Risk Management Official pursuant to the Clean Water Act for the Corporation of Town of Minnow, introduced, read, first, second, third time, and passed open council, and seal the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson.
Make it good.
Confirmatory, yeah. That the bylaw number 2050 to confirm the actions of Council Corporation of Town of Minnow be introduced, read, first, second, and third time, and passed an open council, seal the corporation. All in favor? An adjournment. We're done.
Resolution?
Oh, resolution, what?
Is there a resolution?
Oh, yes. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Gunson. The council of the Town of Minnow adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Yeah, good. Yeah, we don't have to do adjournments in some places. I'll take that back. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
And I didn't have my gavel for the whole meeting. I didn't think I had.
Judy, I'll forget it.